Hi, this is Rebecca Donald. I'm the director of the library here at Trinity International University. And this is a workshop that is going to be looking at OneSearch, which is the library's new system for searching for books and articles, basically all of the library resources. This is a recorded version of the live workshop that we've been doing the past couple of weeks. We wanted to create a recorded version that didn't have people in it for privacy reasons, but to also make it accessible to people who weren't able to come to the live workshops. So I'll be talking about the same information. And also at the very end, I thought I'd ask some of the questions that were asked in the workshop. The last one I taught, I thought there were some very good questions on how to do advanced searching. So I hope they'll be helpful for you as well. Okay, let me share my screen. All right, here's the library homepage. So this is where you'll want to start. You can get here a few different ways. If you're at MyTIU, there's a link over on the left to library. Or if you do a Google search for TIU library, it should be the first result that comes up. Or you can type library.tiu.edu into your address bar. And a lot of people will bookmark the library just so it's easy to find. Okay, so then OneSearch is right here in the middle of the page. Just to give you some background on OneSearch, as I mentioned, this is a new system we went to this past summer. And iShare, which is the library group of about 90 academic libraries in Illinois that we're a part of, was going to this new system. So we kind of had to go along with this new system to be a part of iShare. However, it was also supposed to be an improvement. Our previous system was created in the late 90s, and it wasn't really designed very well for online resources, since internet was still very new then. So this is supposed to work better for those. Also, it's supposed to have the advantage of being able to search both books and articles at the same time. Our last system would only search books, and you'd have to go separately to the databases to search for articles. So this one searches for both all at once. So it can be a quick time saver to do one search all at the same time. However, although we'd called it OneSearch, we wouldn't recommend it being the only search that you do. It's still limited right now. It doesn't search as comprehensively as the EBSCO databases do, and it doesn't have as many search options. So although we would suggest starting here just to see what you find, if you're doing more in-depth research, we would recommend going to the EBSCO articles tab up here and trying searching in there. There's also a link to ATLA down here, which is the theology and religion database. So, I'll show you how to search libraries worldwide in OneSearch, but there's a link to WorldCat up here, which also, it works a little bit better than that does. OneSearch is in the process of being improved. We're working on, for example, getting the EBSCO articles to show up better in the OneSearch. So in the future, it may hopefully work better than it does now. But even then, even if it's working at top-notch ability, it's still a good research to, if you're doing a more specific search, just start here for general, but then go to one of the subject-specific databases to hone your search a lot more specifically on that subject. For example, ATLA, if you're doing Bible and theology, is always an ideal place to go. Okay, let me show you some of the pull-down options here on the main page. So our first basic search searches for TIU books and articles all at the same time. If you just want to search books only, you can choose that option. There's also iShare libraries. So if you want to request books from other iShare libraries, you can go there. Libraries worldwide goes beyond iShare. Articles, if you just want to look for articles. And then finally, course reserves. Some faculty are putting things on reserve. Right now it's just ebooks, but you can search in there for those. All right, let's try a basic search. I am doing research this semester on diversity in higher education for a class. So I'll do a search for that and we'll take a look at what comes up. Okay. So as you can see, you get a variety of results here. There's journals, books, and articles all in the top results. Before we go further, actually, I just noticed I'm still signed in. Normally, you probably won't be signed in when you come in. So let me show you what that looks like. Okay. When you first come in, you aren't signed in. And I would recommend signing in as soon as you can in the process, because you will find more results that way. For example, the EBSCO articles won't show up unless you sign in. It'll also show you more options for searching, for saving things, for seeing like your checkout privileges, things like that. So you can click on sign in here in the middle, or there's one up in the top right as well. And if you're a Trinity student or faculty, staff, you'll choose TIU users. If you're like alumni or a community person, you can choose visitor and courtesy cards. All right. A nice thing with the new system is that this is the same login that you use for your Trinity email, for MyTIU, for Moodle, for all of those things. So you don't have to remember a different username and password now. A few people have been having problems. One is that make sure you don't put @tiu.edu at the end of your username. So it should just be your username, like ZJ Smith. Just put that in there. Another problem we've encountered is that some people have their passwords for their email and MyTIU saved on their computer, so they don't actually remember what the password is. So if you're having trouble logging in, try going back and seeing if you can look at your saved passwords on your computer and see what it is. There's also an option to change your password if you need to. If you're still having problems, you can contact us. I'll show our contact information at the end and we can help you troubleshoot. Okay, so now I'm signed in. Hopefully it pulled up more results. There's some personalization options up here, which I discovered in our last workshop. For example, you can choose which discipline you want to be your primary area of focus. So I chose philosophy and religion. There are other ones you can choose. For example, I'm in the education program, so maybe I should actually choose education as well over here. Oops. So then I think it will limit my search to just searching in kind of those areas. I'll turn that off actually. You can also save the search you just did, and you can pin individual, like this one I've already pinned actually, looks like. And then it will save it to your favorites up here. Okay, let's take a look at some of the results here. Oh, by the way, if you want to, after you search, you can do some limits over here. One of the big ones I use is the resource type. For example, I've done this search and I decided really I just wanted books. So I'll go under show more and find books and just limit it to that. Another way to do that, which may be quicker, is up at the top. You can change the search to TIU books only and do that. Some other options that might be useful are available online. So especially if you're at a distance right now, that'll limit it to ebooks and journal articles that are available online. You can also limit it to peer-reviewed journals if your professor wants you to use peer-reviewed items. There are some other limits over here. For example, subject, which is a good way to search. If you want to put in a date range or limit it to an author, things like that. Okay, let's take a look at a book. So if you click on it, one of the most important things is to look in the center of the page, and this is how you'll actually get the book. So if it's a print book, it'll have the call number. Here, this is an ebook, so it'll have a link to the full text right there. Okay. So this is one of our ebooks that you can just read online. We have some other ones that you check out and download. This one you can download some chapters of it if you want. Oops. Okay. One thing I'd recommend when you're searching in any of our databases or catalogs is to check out some of the subject headings that they use. that's a good way to find more search terms to use on your topic. For example, I was searching diversity in higher education, but it looks like maybe a good subject to do is minorities, education higher, or maybe some of these other ones like educational equalization would get me more stuff. Okay. All right, let's take a look at a book that is in our library. Actually, I can limit it to held by library. One of the dangers with held by library is that it won't pull in the ebooks as much. It'll mostly just be the ones that are available in print in the library. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so here's one that's in our library. And again, in the center of the page, kind of under Get It, oops, it'll have the location of the book. Let me go back. I did something weird. Yes. Okay, so there's the call number, and that's what you'll actually need to find it in the library. I also check to see if it's available, make sure it's not checked out. It says it's item in place. It's got one copy, one available. And if you're logged in, it should tell you how long you can check it out for. Right now, I can check it out until February 1st. Okay. If our copy of the book was checked out, you could request it from iShare. It shows some of the other iShare libraries that own it down here. And you can just go up here and click on iShare. And then I'll pull up the request form. And you can go ahead and submit the request. You shouldn't really need to change much in there. As an aside, in the future, I wouldn't really recommend this right now, but if you want to in the future, you could request books to be sent to any of the iShare libraries. And then you can go to those libraries and use your ID card to pick up the book there, or go and check out books from their library using your ID card. However, a lot of the libraries are still closed right now, or they are limiting access to just their students. So if you did want to do that, we recommend checking with the library in advance to make sure they're actually open and that you could come in. So maybe safer right now just to request it through iShare. Another thing to keep in mind with iShare requests is that right now with COVID, there's a 7-day quarantine for books. So before the libraries send them out, they'll quarantine them for 7 days. So there is a significant delay right now in getting books if you request them. Okay. Another thing I wanted to point out in here, I'll go back. In addition to the request from iShare, there's a request from TIU option. So because this is available, if I clicked that, they would go and pull it off the shelf and hold it for me up front. So if you want someone to do that, it takes a day or so for that to happen. However, if our copy is checked out, I wouldn't recommend clicking that request from TIU, because then you'll just be put in a hold for whenever that book is returned, which right now might not be till after February 1st. So it'd be better at that point to request it from iShare, because you get it faster that way. All right. I'm going to remove this filter so we can get back to seeing articles and stuff. All right, let's take a look at an article. Here's one. So again, the same thing. It'll show where this article is available. This one says most recent 1 year is not available there. However, this is from 2009, so it should be available there. So if you click on it, it should take you straight to the full article. Okay, so yeah, I found the article on EBSCO, and you just click on PDF full text to actually see the full article. And I think it's taking a minute to download, so I won't wait for that. If the article is not available for some reason, won't have that, then you can click on request through WorldShare, and that will request a scan of the article from another library. I won't walk through that right now, but it should take you in and fill out the form with all the information you need to request the scan. Okay. Let me check my notes, make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay. As I mentioned, you can save searches. You can go back to your search history if you want to see the searches you did in the past, which can be helpful. Done a lot of searches on diversity in higher ed, apparently. And you can recreate the search by just clicking on that as well. I think it's not going. There he goes. Okay. Another kind of cool option that I haven't really used myself, but there's a browse option you can go to up here. So you can browse by author or title, and it'll take you to an alphabetical list of them, which I don't know how helpful that is. But what could be helpful is the Library of Congress call numbers. And this will let you, kind of like you were going to the shelf in the library and browsing and seeing what books were around, the book you're interested in. So especially right now where maybe you can't get to the library, that's a way to kind of recreate browsing in the library online. So if I was interested in one of these books, I could look and see what's around the shelf next to it. A lot of commentaries apparently. All right, let's go back. Actually, let me go back to where I was before. Okay. All right, I wanted to show you how to get to iShare from here. So the search we just did only searches for books and articles available here. So it's somewhat limited. So if you want to expand your search, then you'd want to go to iShare. There's an iShare search up at the very top, or if you pull down the options box here, you can go to iShare there. So I'll do the search for diversity in higher education there. And this will just pull up books. It won't really pull up articles. It did pull up a journal title, but you can't request that usually. All these two journals. So you can find a book in here. And this comes up with a lot of books that we didn't have at our library here, especially on a topic like this. We are a little bit more limited. Okay, so if you click on it, you'll see we don't have any holding information for our library, but we do have a link for iShare and request through WorldShare. So again, you can go to iShare and submit that form. If for some reason you end up not being able to request it through iShare, you can request it through WorldShare. We recommend first checking at our library to see if we have it, then trying to get it through iShare, because that's a more automated process. Usually it's faster, although with quarantine it might not be right now. And then if it's not available there, then you can go to WorldShare and we'll try and get it from somewhere outside of Illinois, outside of iShare. Okay. If you go, let me show you your account now. If you've logged in, up at the top right, you should see your name. So you can click on that and you'll see another number of options related to your account. Your library card goes to your account. You can see your loans, what you have checked out, your requests, what you've requested, stay through iShare, any favorites, search history, things like that. Let's go to the library card. Okay, so this gives an overview of all of my loans, my requests, my fines and fees, things like that. Over on the left, keep in mind one of the problems actually with this right now, which they're trying to work on fixing but haven't yet, is that all of your checkouts are listed by the library, the iShare library that you got it from. So these ones with checkboxes, I have books checked out from. So I have to go to those to see the books I have checked out from those libraries. So if you want to renew it or anything like that, you have to go there and then click renew. If you go to requests, you can see the requests you placed through iShare. I don't have anything right now. You might keep an eye on this if there's been a few glitches in here. So if you see something get stuck, like it's just waiting to be sent to the institution for a long time, you might try canceling and retrying it, or contact us and we can try and troubleshoot it as well. All right, let's go back. Main page again. Oops. So I mentioned that you can search beyond Trinity's library in here. A couple of ways you can do that. Under the pull down, you can go to libraries worldwide, and then that will search beyond that. You can also, over on the left is an expand my results option, which will again go beyond what's in our library here. My first search was just at our library, so expand my results will expand it beyond what's at our library. Text resource. I haven't seen that before. Okay. Let's try the libraries worldwide search too to see what that looks like. Okay. The libraries worldwide, kind of like iShare, will just be searching for books pretty much. So then if you find a book there that you like, you can click on it. And this one is not available through iShare, so that's a good example. So this is one, then you can just go ahead and request through WorldShare, and we'll get it from a library outside of Illinois. All right. I mentioned you can search for articles in here and course reserves. Under course reserves, you can search for, like if you know the professor or the title of the course, or if you don't even know that, you can put in kind of a subject area. Probably want to be pretty broad. And then over on the left, after you search, you can limit it. You can then find your professor or the name of the course. There's quite a few Bible courses in here. NT and OT. And then they'll list the books that they have on reserve for that course, which, as I said earlier, should all be ebooks at this point. Okay, so that's the main things I think that I wanted to show you with OneSearch. I thought I would then continue now and talk about some of the questions that I had last time in the workshop, because I thought they were really good questions. The first one was, how do I narrow down EBSCO searches? So we didn't really look at EBSCO too much since this was a OneSearch workshop, but let me show you a little bit of that. If you go back to the library homepage, there's a tab for EBSCO articles. And as I said earlier, this is a really good search to do in addition to searching OneSearch. And then this first search, this box here will search most of the EBSCO databases all at once. They cover a wide variety of subjects. Let's go in and take a look. Okay, so that found 10,000 on this topic. So a good thing to do probably at this point is to choose your subject area you really want to search in. So up at the top, you can go to choose databases, and this will show all the different databases that EBSCO can search. And you might want to select and then deselect all of them, so you're not getting all of them. So for example, now if I really wanted to look at a Christian perspective on this topic, I could narrow it down to ATLA religion database, and then I would just get more of the Bible, theology types of things. Or maybe I want a psychological perspective, I could go to APA Psych Info. Since I'm an education major, ERIC might be the best one for this topic for me. So I could go to ERIC. And you can search more than one at once, so I could choose like all three of those. I oftentimes will try them separately because I'll be looking for different things or finding different things if I'm going the psychological route versus the religious route, for example. So that's a good way to narrow it down. Also, if you just do one database at a time, it will give you search options that are unique to that database. For example, in the ATLA religion database, not surprisingly, there's a scripture search. So then you can search for Bible passages in there. In PsycInfo, it has searches for different kinds of psychological studies and things like that. You can also see what journals are in that database, as well as there will be unique subject headings for each of the databases. So for example, I could oftentimes scroll down and look at the subjects listed under the different articles and see if there's a good subject for my topic. Some of these don't have them. I can also look over on the left. There's a pull down subject thing here to see if there's one on this topic. Apparently ATLA, maybe not surprisingly, doesn't really have a good subject heading for this topic, whereas I bet the ERIC database would. Okay, so hopefully that kind of answered the question about how to narrow down EBSCO searches. There are also different limiting options on here. Whoops, oh man. For example, to full text, peer reviewed, by date, by different subjects, by the type of resource. Okay, someone else, how do you request through WorldShare? So there's a few different ways you can request through WorldShare. WorldShare, again, is the system for getting books and articles from other libraries, which goes a step beyond iShare. So one way you can get to WorldShare is if you go to My Account, there's a link to WorldShare there, or there's a link to WorldShare here. So if you do that, you would go in and just manually fill out your request. However, it's oftentimes easier if you request through one of the databases, because then it will fill out all the information for you. So you can go to WorldCat tab here also and do the request there, or in OneSearch. If you limit your search to libraries worldwide, then that will pull up ones that you could request through WorldShare usually. So there's the request through WorldShare option there. And the same with the EBSCO databases. If the full text isn't available in there, it should have a link that says request through WorldShare. So pretty much you can get to WorldShare through most of our different resources. If we don't have it, then there should hopefully be a link that shows up that allows you to click it and it'll fill out the form for you. Okay. Someone else at the workshop asked about saving their search parameters and their preferences. For example, if you do a search and you narrow it down in here, why is it doing that? Doesn't have the options there. Here we go. Okay. So, by the way, if you mouse over these, there's checkboxes, so you could choose more than one option. So for example, I could choose available online and peer-reviewed journals and limit to articles and do some other ones if I want to. And then I can apply all of those and it will limit it to that. And you can set it to the remember all filters. So for future searches that you're doing at this time, it'll remember all of those. And you could also, if you want to remember it in the future, you could save the query and then it will remember the search you did and the different filters you had in place. And if you went back in, you could change the search as well. Okay. Another question was asking about Google Scholar, if Google Scholar is helpful. And Google Scholar can be quite helpful. In fact, we're working on getting it set up so it'll work better with, it'll work with the OneSearch system. So then when you're searching in Google Scholar, it'll hopefully link out to OneSearch so you can get the full text of the article and things like that. I would recommend, if you're off campus, going through the library homepage to link to Google Scholar. So that way it'll know you're a student here and it'll link then to our resources. So to do that, you can go to Search Tools on the library website and click on Google Scholar. And if you're off campus, it'll ask you to log in. Okay. The nice thing in Google Scholar is that we'll have, over on the right, it'll have some articles that are freely available online. Those should all be free. If you went through the library, it should also list ones that we have paid for in our article databases. So here's one through EBSCOhost that we must have paid for. Should identify that. For others of these, it won't have, it doesn't have the full text for this one, for example, and it'll oftentimes ask you to pay for it if you try and get into it. This one doesn't say it right up top, but it'll probably ask you to pay for it. However, don't ever do that. Try and get it through the library because we can, even if we don't have it, we can get a scan of it for you from another library. So to do that, I just copy the title. And again, in the future, hopefully this will link directly to OneSearch, so it'll save you this step. You can go back to the library website and then do a search for that article in OneSearch. Okay, so there it is. And it looks like we do have it in one of our databases, so you can click on that and get it. If it wasn't available, you can click request through WorldShare and get it that way. Okay. Another question from the workshop was how to search within a specific journal. So for example, your professor tells you you should really be looking for articles in the Journal of Biblical Literature. You can go into OneSearch and just search for the title of the journal. And it should pull up journals like this. So then you can click on that. And if we have it online, it should list what databases it's in. For example, this is in both Academic Search Complete and ATLA, the religion database. So ATLA would be a good one to use. So then you can click on that. And that'll take you to a page about the journal. And there's a couple of things you can do then. You can either browse by the date over here. So if you knew the date, or if you just want to look at the most recent one, you can expand that and then click on that. Oops. Get out of that really quick. You can also, another option is to search within your publication, within the publication. So if you want to see wherever they talk about this topic in this journal, you can do that. So you'd want to keep that in there, and then you could type your topic in down there. By the way, EBSCO also has a nice option. If you sign in, you have to create an account in here. You can set up a search alert for a journal, and then it will let you know when the latest articles, like when a new issue comes out from that. So it's kind of like getting an electronic version of the journal subscription that you can just get it and see what the latest things are and click through to the full articles. You can also set up search alerts for a particular subject, and you can do that in OneSearch as well. So then when there's a new things that come out on your topic, it'll email you about them, which I should probably set up for my dissertation, in fact. But probably with that, you'd want to get it pretty honed, pretty specific on your topic, so you're not getting too much stuff, because some subjects, there'll be a lot coming out all the time. Okay. In fact, the next question was about honing your search in EBSCOhost, I think particularly, and if there's a way to kind of just get the ones that you really want. Sometimes I found no matter what kind of searches I do, I'll still have to wade through articles that aren't really helpful on my topic. For example, let me try. I'll choose Eric instead, since that is a bit better on my topic. Okay. So for example, this first one is talking about the aging of tenure track faculty in higher education, which isn't really what I'm interested in studying. I'm interested in studying students. So sometimes you might just need to look through, I'll kind of browse through a couple pages sometimes and see, am I finding anything that's helpful in my topic? But then it's also good to try and put in more words in the different boxes to try and narrow your search down to what you really want to study. For example, I'm particularly interested in libraries, so I could put in library. You can also, if you put or in one of the boxes, you can get different synonyms. So I could do library or librarians or things like that. So that might help narrow it down to things I'm more interested in. Yeah, that came up with 22, so that's a lot narrower. And then I also mentioned earlier looking for the subjects. So if you can find a really good subject for your search, that can be a good way to go. For example, here's student diversity. So I said I wanted to focus more on students rather than, for example, faculty. So I might try searching for that. Put student diversity. And maybe in this box, I'd still want to have higher education. Here, give some other options for that too, like or college or university. So the more you can do that, you can kind of hone down your search using those specific subjects is good. And again, you still might need to wade through some that aren't really what you're wanting. And sometimes that's part of the process, is figuring out what you really want to focus on and what you don't, and eliminating the things that you don't want to focus on. As I told the workshop, these days the problem isn't usually about finding stuff on your topic, on most topics. Rather, the problem is finding too much and then trying to decide what really you want to use among the stuff you find, and what's helpful, what's relevant, and then not getting distracted by things that kind of take you off down a rabbit trail or something. Okay, that's all the questions I had at that workshop. So I think I'll wrap up here. Let me show you our contact information from the library homepage. If you go to Ask a Librarian, the general LibRef email, you can email with your questions. You can also call. During the day, usually we have a chat going on. So especially right now with COVID, that's a good way to get in touch with us, is to use the chat. You can also contact one of us directly. For example, here's my email, which is a good way to get a hold of me. Nathan is also a really good one with any questions that you have for researching. You can contact him. So if you have any questions that weren't covered in this, any problems you discover, or if you just want help searching, like even figuring out what good search words to use are, how to find what you're looking for, we are happy to meet with you. Right now, we are also doing a lot of Zoom sessions with people, so we can set up a Zoom, so then we can share our screen and you can share yours, and we can help you search that way. Kind of like being in person without being in person. So yeah, we hope you will take advantage of that and that we can help you do some better research.